What's up, guys, and welcome to One Take. I'm Gil, and today we're talking about The Expanse, Season 5, Episode 9. This will be a full recap and review, so it will of course be full of spoilers through Episode 9, but no book spoilers, so nothing from any future episodes. This episode saw Amos and Clarissa finally complete their journey to get off planet. For the first time in a while, I felt some real danger for them, and that made this a more enjoyable installment in their journey for me. I also really enjoyed seeing Avasarala back in action this episode, though as always, it made me really wish we get to see more of her. It also feels like things are coming to a head with Drummer, and hopefully we'll get to see her really fight back soon. Overall, I enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to next week's conclusion. With that, let's get into the recap, but first, just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe for more like them. On to the review. We'll start with Avasarala. She stares at a digital monument showing names of those lost in Marco's asteroid strike. Then sees a news report showing Pastor moved forward with the attack on Palace Station. She joins a cabinet meeting and finds they've gotten bloodthirsty, now debating which station full of innocent people they should attack next. Avasarala argues that Inaros is a rogue element, and they can't act like they are at war with the entire belt. She argues for a strategy of allying with Belter factions against Inaros, then gives a passionate speech where she, for the first time, says out loud that her husband is dead, murdered by Inaros.
Because he murdered my husband.
Pastor is unmoved, and Felix quickly turns the conversation toward his suggestion of attacking Ceres Station next. Avasarala refuses to take part and quits. Then several others follow. After seeing so little Avasarala this season, I was craving a scene like this. Avasarala is a strategist and knows how to give a speech. Here, we got to see her finally flex both those muscles, which was very satisfying. On top of that, it seemed very likely all season that her husband Arjun did not survive. But she has not said it aloud. She's attempted calling him and has held on to the slim hope he's still out there. Hearing her acknowledge his death was heartbreaking. So this was a great scene. We got to see Avasarala in action while getting the emotional release hearing her talk about Arjun. It is just a little bit of a bummer that with so many characters to cover, this story has gotten so little screen time this season. I thought David Pastor was set up as a really interesting character, someone in over his head who has to make some really tough decisions. But because of the little screen time we spend on this story, things move very quickly, and he goes from reluctant to I'm prepared to kill thousands of children pretty fast. I would have loved to watch that develop a little more slowly and see more from his character. Regardless, I was very happy to see Avasarala this episode. Avasarala then visits the monument and adds Arjun's name to it, just before a member of Pastor's security council approaches. After more cabinet members quit, they're ousting Pastor and would like to nominate Avasarala as his replacement. She accepts, and her first order of business is attempting to recruit Felix. However, he has decided to join the fight personally and enlisted in a strike group so he can hopefully take out Inaros himself. Then Avasarala asks him to finish a joke he began telling back in episode 3 this season before he got interrupted. A Belter, an Earther, and a Martian walk into a bar. The Martian asks for a shot of your finest Earth tequila. Drinking like my enemy, he says, helps me think like my enemy. The Earther asks for a shot of the finest Belter liquor. The bartender says, because it helps you think like your enemy? The Earther says no, because I'm trying to drink less. The best the Belt has to offer is terrible. Felix finds the joke is suddenly no longer funny, which I interpret as him reflecting on how dire things have gotten. They used to be able to laugh at how much they hated and looked down on the Belters. Now, that hatred has cost the lives of millions on both sides. Next, let's check in on Amos and Clarissa. They, along with Eric and his crew, reach a home at Winnipesaukee Island containing one of the hangars they're looking for. By the ship, they find some of the winter staff hiding. The porter informs them there is a problem with the ship's reactor, so it won't start. They all sit down for a meal of rich people food and discuss their situation. There's no power on the island, and they have limited food, so they need to go up the well soon. Eric will work on the software side, faking identification, his forte, and convincing the ship they are its rightful owner. Clarissa and Amos will focus on the mechanical side. Outside, more off-season staff approached the house. They saw Eric's helicopter and assumed they were part of the same relief effort. Eric tells them to F off, while Clarissa invites them along for the ride to Luna. Clarissa's new leaf is on full display this episode. She wants to prove to herself that she is not a monster, so at every turn, she tries to do the right thing, and by the end of the episode, we see where that gets her. As they work on the ship with no luck, more trouble arrives. The island's private security force asks for all their food. They claim this is so they can consolidate all food and supplies for efficient distribution. Everyone draws their weapons, and the security force realizes they're kind of outgunned at the moment. Clarissa quickly leaps in between them, essentially saying no one needs to die. Amos tells them to just walk away, and they do. But of course, Amos points out they will be back. So this is more of Clarissa trying to do the right thing. And I thought it was interesting Amos agreed to let them go. You can see Eric is dumbfounded by it as well. We know that Amos is on a similar journey as Clarissa, accepting he's a monster in some ways, but wanting to act like a good person. But this is a situation where he knows for sure that letting them go means more danger later on. I think he was motivated by two things here. One, yes, he is overcorrecting and trying to be a good person. But two, he has some sort of love for Clarissa, and that sways him to do this for her. He knows how badly she wants to avoid more violence, so he abides her request. Back on the ship, Eric asks Clarissa why Amos calls her Peaches. She shrugs it off and asks him why he calls Amos Timmy. And I loved his nonchalant, because that's his name. Clearly, someone hasn't read the Expanse novella The Churn. Click the card in the upper right corner if you'd like a refresher. Outside, Eric radios Amos, but he says,
"Taking a fucking break."
And I kind of love that moment, because it felt like he's not just taking a break from fixing the ship, he's taking a break from everything, all the troubles he's been dealing with all season. He yells for someone to take watch and stop slacking off. Then Hutch joins him with a drink stolen from the liquor cabinet, and they bond. Hutch does not want to leave everything behind in Baltimore, but Amos reassures, coming back to Baltimore taught him, you never really leave everything behind. Essentially saying, the experiences he had made him who he is. Just because you start over somewhere else doesn't mean those things didn't happen or didn't become a part of you. Suddenly, he realizes the issue with the ship, runs to fix it, and it works. They prepare for takeoff, but the security forces return. Eric, Amos, Hutch, and some others focus on return fire, while Clarissa helps load their many guests onto the shuttle. When the porter stumbles and Clarissa helps him, he says, "Thank you," probably something she hasn't heard in a long time. Amos, Hutch, and Eric make their way back inside, and I loved how they used some pretty lengthy takes here, with very few cuts, so you can really feel the tension as they round every corner. You don't know if one of them will suddenly get taken out by a stray bullet or what's going to happen. Like I said at the top of my review, I felt a real sense of danger here, which is why I thought this was one of the better Amos and Clarissa episodes. We hear a scream in the distance and find that inside, Clarissa activated her mods and slaughtered a good number of bad guys. As she recovers, Eric helps her onto the shuttle, while Amos and Hutch stay behind to fight off more forces arriving on the hangar. They make it on just in the nick of time, though Hutch needs a little help after taking a bullet. They lie down in the ship's entrance and prepare for takeoff. Then they launch and incinerate a few of the bad guys in the process. By the way, before they take off, there's a quick shot of Clarissa looking up and seeing her bloodied reflection. I have to think she hates herself in that moment and is disturbed by finding the monster is still within her. I think in the finale, we may see more wisdom dispensed by Amos, helping her reconcile with the fact that sometimes you need to make tough choices and be a monster in order to save lives. Finally, let's talk about Naomi and everything surrounding her this episode. Marco receives a type beam from Carl, informing him of Naomi's modified distress call. Meanwhile, Alex and Bobbie listen to the same message and debate what it means. Bobbie gets close with some of her theories, but unfortunately, they both conclude, we just have to get to her and we'll see. Which of course means triggering the explosives, killing themselves and Naomi in the process. Meanwhile, Carl tells Oksana that she cannot tell Drummer that Naomi may be alive on the Chetzemoka. Then Marco gives an order for them to rendezvous with some other Free Navy and together destroy the Rocinante. Drummer points out that the plan makes no sense. If the Rossi is heading toward a trap, why pick a fight with them? Carl essentially says, stop questioning things, follow Marco's orders. Once Carl leaves, Oksana asks Drummer for her weapon, disarming her to make sure she doesn't do anything crazy. Later, Drummer approaches Oksana and points out she's clearly hiding something. Then she lists her many sacrifices in one of my favorite moments of the episode.
He killed a woman I loved.
And now he wants me and mine to murder her friends.
And I go along again. How much shit do I have to eat before you treat me with some respect?
Drummer has been backed into a corner all season, especially the last few episodes where everyone is giving her a hard time and showing little sympathy for the friends she's lost. So I found myself pretty frustrated when Drummer learns that she has to kill more of her friends and Oksana's response is to disarm her. I think it made sense for Oksana to do that, but it's impossible not to share in Drummer's frustration. So when she gets to that moment, listing all the crap she's gone through, it was a great emotional release. I'm hoping that in the finale, we really get to see Drummer fight back in some offensive strike against Inaros. Maybe once Naomi hopefully gets safe and everyone can regroup and coordinate. Oksana asks Drummer if they mean as much to her as Naomi did. When Drummer says yes, Oksana admits that it is possible Naomi is still alive. Marco wants to take down the Rossi to prevent them from helping her, but Oksana points out they cannot go against Marco or he'll kill them all. Drummer, Oksana, and everyone else. Back on Marco's ship, he and Philip apologize to each other. Then Marco reveals that Naomi lived. She did not try to kill herself. She was just leaving them again. This angers Philip, and Marco comforts him. I really wanted to knock some sense into the two of them here. This is not the story of a mother abandoning her family. This is a story of a hostage you took who you tried using as bait to kill her friends and family. Anyway, all season it's felt like we're setting up Philip to betray Marco. After Naomi's escape, though, I'm honestly not sure what Philip is going to do. I could easily see her leaving them as being the final domino in permanently turning Philip to Marco's side. Or with one episode left this season, maybe Philip will surprise us. Finally, let's revisit Naomi on the Chetzemoka. She notices some frayed wiring from one of the tampering sensors. She uses it to activate one of the helmet's displays and sees the screaming Firehawk approaching. Of course, if they get too close, the ship's explosives will activate, killing Alex and Bobbie. Then she heads out to the depressurized zone for what feels like the last time. I don't know what the finale holds for her, but I imagine she's heading for the airlock for some kind of final Hail Mary attempt to stop Alex and Bobbie from triggering the bomb. And that's where the episode wraps up. In some ways, this season feels like a lot of setup for something bigger. Marco hit the Earth with asteroids, and with the last remaining proto-molecule, holds civilization at his mercy. Since then, we've seen Earth's counter-assault on Palace Station, and in terms of the overall war, not a whole lot else. It feels like the war has just begun, and with next episode being the finale, I wonder if there's another major event in store for us. I can't imagine we see a direct assault on Marco, where we take him out and the war is over. So I'm curious to see what happens. They did plant the seeds early on this season for something to happen with the protomolecule. We know Cortazar, the protomolecule scientist, was kidnapped, so perhaps we'll finally see what he's been working on. In any case, I'm excited to find out. With that, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon to get notified the next time we do a video. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next One Take.